my pleasure.
When I read your story online, the first word popped into my mind is pioneer.
Yeah.
You're such a pioneer, you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you start your business at 7 years old.
Yes.
And you won the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
and you do a lot of charities.
Yes.
And you yourself is a world-class athlete.
Yes.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but first of all, let's start from the very small things. When I look at your website, your logo, the Goodtime logo, appears to me. It's very unique.
Yes.
Can you share the story behind it?
Well, the story of that is my brother. My brother started this business while I was away in England. And that logo was designed by the boys in the factory. And the logo, it's interesting because when you look at it, it's actually a dream. You know, it's all about, my brother used to say, having a good time is what surfing is all about.
Yep.
And that logo represents that good time. And in those days, you'll see if you look at the logo carefully, the toes of the surfer coming out of the picture. You can see it here. You see there.
Yeah, I will take the picture later.
Yeah, they're the toes. You'll see the toes of the surfer on the edge of the board. So, and what it is, that represents the dream.
Oh,
You know, the kind of good time.
Right.
Having a good time surfing is all indicated in their method. Well, my brother's design of how to make it look, him and other boys designed that, you know, and that was their dream.
Yeah, it's very cheerful.
It is, yeah, that's right, and that's what it is. And so for me, I didn't design that. They did that because I was in London, and my mother contacted me and said, you have to come home because your brother has started making surfboards. And my parents were very happy that he was settling down, doing something sensible. And then my mother knew I'm a business person. You have to come home and set it up as a business, a proper business.
Yeah, wow.
So that I didn't want to do it. I said, oh, I'll come home, I'll help set it up, because I wanted to go to America. I always wanted to go to America.
America?
Yeah.
I think you went to UK.
Yeah, I did. I went to UK, but over there, I still wanted to go to America.
All right.
And so eventually I did go to America, but only to Maui, Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah. So I only got as far as that to America.
Okay.
Yeah. But in London, I knew a lot of Americans, because in the 60s there were a lot of people over there from all over the world,
Yeah.
from everywhere.
Yeah, I heard you met the Beatles.
Oh yes, John Lennon,
and Yoko.
and Yoko. I met them. They were at their manager was just they had a place that was they were managed by a fellow called Klein, and he came to my store in London, and I was at a club in London where Yoko and John Lennon were there. Yeah, but I met them at their offices, Mr. Klein's offices. He was the manager of the Beatles. Yeah.
Did you have chance to talk to John Lennon?
I did speak to them there, but the thing is, at that time he was in love with Yoko, and you couldn't really communicate with either of them.
Oh yeah.
They were both so attracted to each other. It was like being a stranger, you know, outside. They were very happy.
Yeah, in Chinese we call it the light bulb. Like a
That's right. Yeah.
They are so in love, and
That's
you're
right.
the same person, and then
Exactly. It was exactly like that. Exactly like that. Because the manager of the Beatles came to see me to do some work for them in relation to he had a property. John Lennon owned a property in Covent Garden. It was a big warehouse. I think he rented it or owned it, whatever, and he wanted to have things happening there. And the manager, that's how I met the manager. He came to me and said, and how I met John Lennon and Yoko, because he came to me and said he was worried about what was going to happen in this big warehouse in Covent Garden, because everyone was sort of a bit crazy, you know, and I was in London, I had my shop in Carnaby Street, and he felt that I was a sensible management person. So he asked me would I go to the building in Covent Garden and have a look and report back to him, which I did on occasions. I'd go there to see what was going on, and it was beyond me, because the people that were there, it was a happening. It was like people doing crazy things. Somebody singing, somebody playing music, somebody drawing. It was all, it was very good. Yeah. So I told him I don't think there's any harm.
Yeah. I think the manager had a very good eye.
Yes.
Because you won the Order of Australian medal.
Yeah.
Later, right?
Yeah.
So you're a very successful businesswoman. And very sensible, of course. Yeah.
Well, somebody told him about me, and he came to see me and said, would I do that?
Yep.
And I went, oh wow, the Beatles,
Yeah, the Beatles. So what year was that?
Well, I arrived in London in 1966.
Okay.
July 1966 is when I arrived there, and I left there I came home in 1971.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's the best time of
Yeah, it was.
Beatles.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a really amazing story.
I was there when they played in the street. There was they played their music in the street, and I was there when they did that. Yeah, that was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I went to London, and what I wanted to do was, I like antique things, boxes.
Yeah.
For some reason I had an interest in antique boxes. Don't know why. Anyway, I'm in London and I asked someone, how do you look at antique boxes? Go to Portobello Road. Good, I said. So I went to Portobello Road, and this is like my life all over. I'm walking down the street in Portobello Road, and then I see two women having a fight. One woman owned this big antique store. Her name was Annie, and the other one was a South African girl who was a designer. He had all these clothes, fabulous clothes, on her and hanging with her. And they were having a fight because this girl wanted to sell her clothes in Portobello Road. Annie was an antique person, no hippies in Portobello Road. So she called her a hippie, So here was this businesswoman and this hippie. She called her a hippie. And I'm standing there listening to their fight. And I could see beside her building was this brand new aluminium garage door. And I thought, well, that's not antique. So I thought, and those clothes would look good hanging on there. And then I thought, so I put my 2 bobs worth in. I said, hey, why don't you rent that door to her? She can hang her clothes on there. She won't be in Portobello Road where the antiques are. You'll get rent. She'll be happy, and you'll make another business on the side. And this woman it was really funny, this lady called Annie. I'll never forget, she looked at me and she said, and who the hell are you?
I'm the problem solver.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I said, so I could see that's exactly the right word, problem solver. And so I just said, my name's Gail Austen, I'm from Australia. I've only been here a week or something, and I just thought it was a good idea. She said, well, I'll rent the door to you, but I won't rent to her. I said, but I don't even know her. She said, well, get to know her. So I introduced myself, and I said, well, do you want to go into business? She said, yes. So we rented the door. And then how we got to Carnaby Street was because then when I went back to where she made the clothes, it was in a tailor's rooms. Mr. Khan, the tailor, had one room and a bit of an extra room on the side, and that's where she was making the clothes. And then I'm talking to Mr. Taylor, and I'm talking to her, looking at where she was making them. And then I thought, I'll go for a walk around, and I walked around. The next street was Carnaby Street, and there was only 2 shops there. There was Kleptomania in Kingley Street. There was St. John's or whatever it was called, and Lady Jane. And they were all that was there. John Stevens was the name of the other one. And I looked at it and I thought, rather than go to Portobello Road, we should go here. So then I had to find the landlord because there was an empty place. I found Mr. Power, who was a horrible man, and he was horrible, but anyway, he was a good businessman. Yeah. So I met him and I said, I want to rent a room. He said, oh, how much money have you got? I said, I haven't got any money. I said, what I'll do, I promise you it'll bring people to your street because Yvonne's clothes are very attractive. And so that's how we started.
That's how you start the fashion shop.
That's right,
Yeah,
exactly.
You did the
Yeah.
fashion, so it's
Yeah.
quite different from the surfing.
That's absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. When you come back to Australia,
Yeah.
you start the surfing business.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a 1970s,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
Yeah, so that's at that time, the surfing industry is very like a male dominated.
yes, it was.
So like
Yeah.
very few women were
There were
going.
no women,
Yeah, no women.
no women,
Oh,
and
so very
women,
few women.
and not only that, women weren't welcome.
Oh, right.
No, they weren't
You get
welcome.
booed or something
Yeah,
like that?
no, they were very. When I came home to help my brother,
Yeah.
I met this good surfer. Her name was Phyllis O'Donnell. This is her here.
Mm.
See here?
Yeah.
And she was the first world champion in surfing from Australia.
Yep.
Before the men, she was the first.
So, which
Phyllis.
year she won the?
It's in here. Whenever. Oh, what year? It would have been in that period.
70s,
In the 70s, yeah.
After you found the association.
No, what happened is I saw her there. When I came home, I went to the beach because my brother was running a competition at Durambar Beach. So I went around to have a look, and Phyllis was there, and she was already a champion. And what made me do something was the women were like they're having a competition.
Yep.
The men went in,
Yep.
the teenagers went in, the little kids went in, all male. And then eventually when the surf was no good, they said, okay, now the women can go in. And Phyllis was there on the beach, and I said, Phyllis, this is not very good because you'll be surfing in rubbish surf and you're a world champion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was ridiculous, really. And so I said to my brother, this is not good enough. He said, well, it's the way it is.
So
You know?
it's not a joke. I thought it's a joke.
No,
So
it's true.
women can-
No,
It's
that's
a
right.
rule.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a rule.
It was just the way it was. And so I looked and I said, this is no good. So I said to Phyllis, we have to do something. I said, and I could see that because it was male dominated, so male dominated, that there was no way they're going to change anything. And you couldn't, if you wanted to be in their group, then you're still you're never going to get anywhere because they all had this idea.
Yeah.
So I thought the first thing to do is to take the women and separate them from the men's organisation, in my view, not forever, but to just get them out and get them competing against each other, proving their worth, making sure that they were good, and then to being good surf. Pick the biggest surf. Phyllis had won that title in 1964.
Okay.
This is 1971.
All right.
And so this woman's still on the beach
Wow.
being put in this poor surf. See what I mean? And so you weren't going to get anything happening for women.
So that's why.
That's why I did it. I said you have to have I have to take the women away from that organisation, create a women's organisation, get that happening. When they were improved and strong and proving that they can surf, then go back in. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay, so that's why you established the Australian Women's.
That's right,
Surfriders
exactly.
Association.
Exactly. So my idea of forming the women's surfing, and then also not only the women, in Brisbane, the Brisbane surfers would go to the Gold Coast or the Sunshine Coast and they would be ostracised. Brizzos, go home, It was terrible. They would chase them out of the water because they weren't good surfers. And you, again, like the women, I looked at it and I thought, this is stupid. So I said to my brother and everyone, I'm going to form the Brisbane surfers, Brisbane's board riders, where women and men were together, and we would go to Stradbroke Island because it's not the Gold Coast and it's not the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, it's
And
independent.
we would have competitions there.
Yeah.
And because of my commercial ability, I spoke to the people who ran the ferries across to Stradbroke Island, and I asked them to assist me by sponsoring everything. And they were wonderful. They provided funds, money and sponsorship. And so what happened was I created competitions on Stradbroke Island for Brizzos, which was so much bigger prize money than anywhere else, anywhere in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Everybody from all over Australia wanted to be in my group.
This is Australia Classic, the event.
That's right, the Australia Classic. So I started that event on Stradbroke Island, and a Brisbane boy, we won it. I created, instead of one person, I created teams. I knew I had the strength in the team. And they had better surfers individually, but overall Brisbane had girls, kneeboard riders, boogie riders, ski riders, surf riders. So I said to them over there, the competition will be for all classes.
Yeah, wow.
So consequently I knew that we had a chance of winning. So the very first event, Brisbane won the very first event.
Oh, Brisbane won.
Yeah, we won the first event.
That's what you
and,
want.
yeah, and everybody said, Gail, you organised that? I said, I did.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah. So that became a famous thing, the Brizzo event. They call them Brizzos. So that became very famous. Then what happened was the kids from the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast, everywhere else wanted to join my group and be in my events because their events had low prizes.
Yeah.
My events had lots of prizes because by then I had a firm called Stubbies. In Australia there was a manufacturer, Exacto, started making these shorts called the Stubbies, and they wanted to have a competition, so I helped them organise it, and the Stubbies Classic was a famous event, and people came from everywhere to be in it, and I was the organiser.
So is it still going on?
Not now, no longer, not now. So for me it was pretty obvious in everything I do. I think for me I just look at the downtrodden or the lower level and I think I can do something about that, so I do. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. That's like a game changer.
Yeah, that's
Such
right.
A game
Yeah.
changer.
And when I was at school I was the same thing.
Yeah.
When I was at school it was the same thing. You know, they'd say, oh, you know, I remember when I was only a young kid at school, I used to be in a convent, and the nun said to me, "You're a brazen hussy, Miss Austen. You will never amount to anything." And what the thing was, when they said that to me, I was paying for my own schooling. I was running a business. I was only about 10 or whatever, 9. I think I was 9 years of age. And what happened there was I ran where I lived in Sydney in Tarrant Point, there was a family, the father had a car accident, a truck accident, so he couldn't earn a living. So I thought, I can run an event, a billy cart trial, because I used to watch the news. On a Saturday you had to go to the movies to see the news, because there was no such thing as television. So you went on a Saturday to the movie theatre, which was a long way away, and we'd go there, and then on the Movie Town News would come the Red X trial, where Jelly Knight Jack and all his team would drive all around Australia through the mud and everything and run this event, you know. Yeah. And I used to watch it and think it was wonderful. And that's why when I saw this fella had this accident and he needed money, and I watched what they did on that program, and they sponsored people. They got people to donate money. So I did the same thing. I copied it exactly. I literally copied the Red X trial exactly and ran a billy cart trial based on the same rules. So I had Checkpoint Charlies. I did it over a 3-mile course. I got the press involved, and it was the most successful event. It was the first billy cart trial in Australia. Nowadays they have them everywhere. Yeah. And we went over about 3 miles around this course. And the interesting thing was that same day, so the event's over, very successful on all the news. We're on the Movie Town News. It was really famous, you know. To be on the Movie Town News was a really big thing in those days. Anyway, in the afternoon, I went to the what they call the mud flats, this place near where I lived, and there were some boys racing motorbikes, and they had hot coals. Heating paraffin to make paraffin fuel. Oh, right. And I'm warming my hands over the fuel, and this fellow pushed me into the fire.
Oh no!
Yeah, that afternoon, yeah. So my hands are burnt very badly because I had to hot coals, you know. Yeah. So I had to run a couple of miles to the nearest doctor and get penicillin gauze on my hands.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what happened. But I'm very lucky when I look back in the modern world, when you think about it, I was very young, and if he hadn't pushed me in the fire, I could have been raped or anything, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, the violence of that person was very bad. So fortunately I got hurt and I had to run to the doctor, you know. So I often think about it like that. I was really lucky, because that same fellow finished in jail later on.
Oh,
You know,
positive thinking.
Yeah, so, you know, that's the thing. So, but anyway, that was all right, but my hands are all right. So, so that was just, you know, life is always, you do some really good things and then you get belted up, you know.
Yeah, you got the fire.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, in 1984.
Yeah.
So you almost lost everything.
I did lose everything. Yeah,
All right.
everything.
So
Yeah, everything.
were you really fear, scared? Or?
No. See, that photo up there, so that's me there. Now, on the day of the fire,
Yeah.
there was what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So I had a dog with me, so I painted that sign,
Yeah.
because people said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, at the back of the shop, it was the 26th of November 1984.
Yeah.
So what was happening was all the stock was being delivered for Christmas
Yeah.
at the back of the shop out here,
Yeah.
and this is the front of the shop. So what do? You know, you have to, you know, you've got all the goods there, you've got to sell them. So I put the sign out the front, business as usual, out the back.
Wow.
And that's what happened. And they took this photo. That photo was taken by the news people.
But you have to go to the bank to find some new.
Oh, well, the
loans
bank
and,
were terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bank manager came when the shop had burnt down.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, you're finished. I said, "Don't be ridiculous." I said, "Go and get me the impossible loan. Get into the bank."
I thought it's one of your staff said it when I read the news. I didn't expect it's the bank I said that.
Yeah, that's right. And it was very difficult. As a woman in business, I was always having difficulty. They didn't want to lend you money. Borrowing money from a bank, they'd always say the same thing. "Oh, you might get married, you know, you might have children." You know, they'd be saying a million things, and I go, I want to borrow money. And you know, to borrow money in those days was really hard. And especially, I knew that I had to buy property. Somehow I had to get to own property, because, you know, trying to borrow money from these people was hopeless. So the first property, what happened was, at the Gold Coast, my brother and my father loved my brother, of course, being the son, you know, and my father had a friend in the bank down there, so he organised to get some money to buy the property at the Gold Coast. But he put it not in my name, in my brother's name. I was doing the business, and my poor brother, he was a great boy, but he just, you know, had a few issues. So anyway, so Dad said, "I haven't put your name on it." I said, "Oh, right, okay." I said, "That's okay, I don't want to be in it. I'm happy to help, and then I'm going to go to America." So I let them have that property. I said, "All right, I really don't want to know about that." Then I said, "You have to open a shop in Brisbane, because down there no one paid. People were stealing, you know. It was It was the era.
Yeah.
You know, the Gold Coast wasn't like now.
Yeah, you had a lot of shoplifters.
Yeah, of
right?
course, yeah.
You had a very unique way to deal with
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah, well, shoplifters, I've had plenty of them, and I'd give them a job.
Okay.
So that's the most important thing, to catch them, give them a bang on the head, and then say, "Right, now you've got to pay me back, so you have to work for me."
So are they reliable
Yeah.
for working?
Well, they
reliable?
became reliable because they had to be, because otherwise I'd be calling the police, you know.
All right.
So I used to threaten them and say, "I'll call the police. I've got I know you're stealing, you know." And I have young friends that are they're now men of 50, 60, come in here still, who stole from me years ago, and I gave them a job and straightened them out, got them working, you know. And so, you know, I made a lot of friends.
So they are good people.
They are good people.
Shoplifting was popular then.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So like in Chinese, we have an interesting word for this. We call it 零元购, means $0 buy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. a $0 buy. That's right, yeah.
So you won the Order of Australia medal.
Yes, I did, yeah. And that really was for that, yeah, for my work with young people, yeah.
Yeah, help the community.
That's right, yes, yeah. That's what that was for, yeah.
Wow. So nowadays, like we as like working in the education industry, we have a lot of young Chinese people come to Australia. And a lot of people, they might haven't been living in the coastal area in China, and then when they came to Australia, and it's the ocean's so beautiful, you know, it's the best of the best in the world, and they want to try surfing and like snorkeling.
Yeah, I understand.
Like yeah, what's your suggestion for those people, especially on the safety tips?
Well, for instance, we have now. In Queensland, we have a surfboard association, very highly organised, and you can join and join and become involved in competition or in learning. You know, all of that's available now. Nowadays, you can go to the Gold Coast. There are clubs at Kira, there are clubs on Stradbroke Island. There are clubs everywhere, and youngsters can join and then learn all about it. You know. They can work with each other.
So, any like beaches, they have relatively quiet waves, and
not really.
Not really.
The reality is, you have quiet waves sometimes, and then big waves the next minute. So you have to understand the ocean, and the problem for people coming from Asia or China or whatever, is they're not dealing with the ocean from when they're growing up. So. The surf can be very calm, but there's a swell out on the horizon. And for people like me, I can see it. You can see the swell on the horizon. You know that there's big waves coming. So, you know, that's why people drown. They go out thinking, oh, this is nice and easy, then up comes a big wave. You know what I mean? From the little wave, suddenly there's a big wave. So it's really like, you know, people like me, I was born in all this. I grew up in it, so you understand it, you know, but a lot of people don't. They just think, oh, that's lovely. They swim out and then the rip gets them and they're out to sea.
Yeah. So what's your suggestion before they jump into the ocean?
Well, I think they need to join, in my view, you either join a club, or you find out where the local, you know, schools are, school of surfing, school, even you'll learn to swim to start with.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to swim, you know. Yeah. A lot of people can't swim.
Yeah. And
they go in the surf and they think, oh, they'll just ride the wave. And they can't swim, and then they're carried out to sea and they drown. As a youngster, there was at Talabudra, there's the women's club, the Neptune's club. I was one of the early members of that. And we, you know, we're all in there teaching people, swimming, running patrols, and this was in calm water, not in the surf, and because women in those days weren't allowed in the surf clubs, they're only allowed in the calm water. Royal Life Saving is the name of the organisation. So Royal Life Saving ran all still water things. Surf Life Saving runs the surf. And so here we are, I'm in the Neptunes. Suddenly we're all going to go home on Sunday afternoon. Everything's quiet, we're going home to Brisbane, and then somebody runs, there's a problem. 2 young boys, you know, they'd gone around swimming on the other side of the bridge, and they'd come into a deep hole, and of course they couldn't swim, and they drowned. And I was one of the lifesavers there who had to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation had only just started, and there was a fellow from Burleigh Surf Club there. He arrived, and we were giving mouth-to-mouth to these boys. In my view, they weren't going to live. That's my honest opinion. I was breathing into these boys. They were vomiting. Yeah, it wasn't very nice. But I knew in my heart they'd gone too far. Yeah. They were blue, you know. And this man and I'm breathing into this boy, and there was a, you know, tiny sign of life. Maybe in today's world they might have been saved, you know. But this fellow came running over, and he didn't believe in mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He was the old school. So he pushed me off this buoy, and then he fumbled with all his equipment. So by the time he got the oxygen to the buoy, he was gone. So for me, always in my lifetime, I'm always encouraging people, learn to swim. That's the first thing. You learn to swim, and you go to a proper school where you learn about resuscitation. You learn about how to deal in difficult situations. You don't just learn to swim in a swimming pool and that's it. You've got to learn more than that. You join a club, and then they take you out into rough seas. And they're there with you, you know.
Yeah, they have the ribs.
Yeah, you get carted out to sea. You know. I was once I got carted out to sea, I had to laugh. There was a rescue. And so there was an English woman, I always remember she had white togs on. And she's swimming along in Calabaja Creek and just keeps swimming straight out to sea. So then I have to chase her. I've got the belt on me, so I'm swimming after her, but the belt runs out, doesn't it? Because there's a limit. So I have to undo the belt and throw the belt away and get hold of this woman. And I've got hold of her, and she's carrying on like, stupid. So I was well trained, I said to her, you're going to die if you don't let me control the situation. So I had to swim with her all the way around Burleigh Heads. You have a look. I've often gone back and looked and thought, how did I do it? You go out Calabaja Creek and go round the big bluff to the other side. You have a look how far it is. How did I do it? I don't know. But I had this woman, idiot, who was carrying on like a lunatic, and I had to quieten her down and then swim all the way around with her to save her life.
Yeah, recently there is a boy swimming in the ocean for 4 hours.
Yeah.
The whole family, right?
And he survived.
Yeah.
You can survive. You can. But you need to be strong.
Yeah.
And you need to have some sort of ability,
Yeah. With Sunday they have a lot of jellyfish.
Yeah.
So what's your suggestion for the jellyfish?
Well, you wear, what we have here, I sell them, we wear a complete lycra, no, not a wetsuit, lycra suit.
Oh.
You wear a lycra suit. I've got them down there. They call them, what is the name? There's a name for them. Because of the fish that bite you up north where the stingers, they call them a stinger suit.
Oh.
I've got them down here in the shop.
Oh, yeah. Such a beautiful.
They're complete suit, like all lycra.
Yeah, I wore
on
them
your
before.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the white.
The stinger suit.
Yeah, I know. It's such a pity.
I know, but otherwise you get stung by all the stingers.
Yeah, and there's jellyfish is everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we do get jellyfish here, but only on certain tides. Like if there's a big storm, it pushes the jellyfish down from the north or up from the south or whatever. Same as with the sharks. The big white sharks are south, and they come north in the different seasons. So sometimes you'll get a big white shark up here, not too often. But most of them are small sharks. It doesn't make any shark.
So how about the shark problem?
Well, the sharks are there. You've got to realise you are in their territory. So if you want to go in the water, the chances of a shark eating you are pretty good.
Yeah. I saw online your shop have the shark deterrent.
Yeah, I have them. I've sold out. Well, the thing is really, sharks are not interested in attacking humans. Sharks are only interested in fish. That's what they eat. Any kind of animal in the water. So it's a pretty simple story. The shark says the shark sweeps. That's what a shark does. It comes in. It knows where the fish are. So it opens its mouth and it just charges. Enormous speed, and enormous impact. So if you're in the way, and that's what happens, surfer sitting there on his surfboard with his legs dangling down and the shark's chasing the fish, well, that's a bad luck, and that's what happens. So what you have to learn, and I was taught from when I was a little girl, my father loved surfing. He loved to swim in the surf. And he always said, if there are fish about, you don't go in. You can't go, if there's a lot of fish, you have to watch it. So when the tail are on, when the different fish are in large numbers, there's going to be a shark come from nowhere. So you have to make sure you're not amongst the fish. And that's what people are stupid, they don't think, you know.
Yeah, but if they wear your shark deterrent,
it can help. I mean, they've proved that they work. There's lots of films about it, and they say they work. From my point of view, I would not rely on that.
all right.
I would only I've told people that. The only deterrent you need is this, to say to yourself, are there a lot of fish in the water? Is there a lot of food for sharks? If there is, it's not a good time to be there. If you're going to be there, you have to be careful, because if a shark starts to sweep towards its prey, it's travelling at enormous speed. It's not going to worry about you or anybody else, whatever it gets in its mouth. See, that's why the shark grabs the person by accident, hoping it's a fish, and then they shake it and go, oh, I don't want that, and they throw it away. How much damage does that do to the human?
One leg is gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, what to make a good server, like a world-class server?
A surfer.
Yeah, like the quality, the trick.
You mean riding a board?
Yeah.
Well, there's Phyllis was one. She was one world-class surfer, and I've known quite a lot of world-class surfers, you know, and they're athletes. So they're really good athletes. It's like what makes a great runner, what makes a great cricketer. It's practice and time in the ocean and strength and ability. Today, the young people today, they go, well, I even still go to gym. Yeah. See, when I was very lucky. When I was a young girl at Tarrant Point, where we lived, where I had the billy cart trial, I can remember I was riding my billy cart down the footpath. And my aim was to kill all the people walking off the punt. The punt would come in, the people would get off the punt and walk up the hill. And I'd be coming down on my wheelbarrow when I was in that 7, 8-year-old. And I'm going to run them all over, you know. So I enjoyed doing that. And one day I'm going flat out down, and suddenly I'm in the air. And a man had hold of me and he had me in the air. And I thought, oh, you know, how about this? And his name was Mr. Wells. Anyway, he had me in the air and he said straight away, is there a hall round here? Is there a community hall? Yeah. I said, yes, there is. He said, do you know where it is? I said, yes, I told him. He said, meet me there on Saturday. This was during the week. And I thought, who's this man, you know? So I told all the kids on Saturday, we've all got to go to the hall because this man is going to be there. And he's really strong because he picked me up, wheelbarrow and all. He had me in the air. I said, I don't know who he is. And what had happened was this man, Mr. Wells, had just arrived from England. He was a pommie, a 10-pound pom, immigrating to Australia. And he had arrived in where he's going to live at Tarrant Point, and him and his family were walking up the hill when I tried to kill him. So anyway, on the Saturday, and it was really funny, we were all in the bushes watching, you know, we're in the bushes watching. He pulled up and he had a sort of a big box. He had all this stuff he was bringing into the hall. And we think he doesn't see us, you know, because he knows we're there. And of course, all of a sudden he went in, got everything in, and he had a singlet and white long pants on. Yeah. And I'll never forget, he came out and he said, okay kids, come on in. And then he taught us gymnastics. Right. He was in the Navy, and he was a gymnast. He was a phys ed teacher, you know, like a sports teacher in the Navy. So he began to teach us how to get strong. And he used to say, his favourite saying was, muscles are made to women, muscles are made to hold your tummy in, Gail, not corsets. Yeah. So in those days, all girls wore corsets. Yeah. So he was, and I thought, oh, I don't want to wear a corset. Yeah. I want to have muscles. So he taught me how to have muscles.
And when I read your Hall of Fame,
yeah.
I remember of Hall of Fame, and they said you are the world-class athlete.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah. Well, I was, like, remember when in 1963, I was in a car accident. coming from the Gold Coast to Brisbane. I was a passenger in a vehicle, and the vehicle rolled over 3 times and down a hill and then caught fire, and I was inside. And the driver got thrown out, and another passenger in the back was all wrapped up in a blanket, but I'm thrown out, and I broke my spine. That's how I damaged my spine. So I finished up in hospital, and then it took me 10 years to recover, 10 years of time to get back to sport.
And I'm curious, like you're a very successful businesswoman, but every time I saw you, you're very low-key. What's your philosophy about wealth?
Well, the thing is, I've always, I think from when I was very, very young, see, when I saw those people who needed help, if I can help, I will. But it's not about, life's not about money, you know. I have my grandfather was a very successful businessman, and my grandmother used to say to me, "You're just like Dada," because she was married to him at a very young age. I reckon she was 14 or 15, and he was 40, you know. So people don't say that, but I worked it out. I added it all up, worked it out. And my grandmother was an amazing lady, and she used to say to me, "You're just like Dada, Gail. You know how to make a living." And when I was growing up, my parents always wanted me to get a job in an office, you know. And my grandmother used to always say to me, "You work for yourself." Just because I always worked for myself. I was always running a little business, making money. And my grandmother was a good influence because she always saying to me, "Gail, be true to yourself. You make money. You're a business person. Don't worry about working for anyone else." And she was right. I realised that my father was a worker, my mother was a hairdresser. They both worked, but I realised I had to make my own money to do what I want to do. So I always had, like my father built a little shed in the yard for my brother. Supposedly he's supposed to be doing things in it. He never did. So I thought, so I started, buying and selling stuff, you know. And then my father built this bigger shed. And he said, one day my father said to me, "A man will never be able to build a big enough shed for you, Gail."
So the report said you start your business at the year of 7.
That's correct, yeah.
So what did you do?
What I used to do, I used to see my grandfather's business is called Hare and Forbes. It's still going today. And I used to, when I was a child, g'day mate, g'day. When I was very young, I used to go with my father and mother. I'd be on the floor of the factory. It was a big warehouse, and I'd be sorting out nails from copper and brass. So I'd do from when I was 3-year-old. Yeah, that was my kindergarten. You know, like on the floor, they'd tip all the stuff down, and then I'd have to sort it out. And I still like doing that today.
You're such a born businesswoman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I did. So basically, you know, you sort of, it's inherent in you. And remember that, as my grandmother said, I'm just like my grandfather. I was born with that inherent, you know, that's something.
Yeah, the mindset.
You've either got it or not, you know. And my brother and sister didn't have that.
Yeah. So you're the businessman.
Yeah.
A businesswoman, and you make money and help other people.
That's right.
Rather than spend on yourself.
That's right, exactly. And that's exactly the other thing is it's never really interested me. My mother was a hairdresser, and my mother used to say, I mean, I'm just lucky my hair's like it is. My mother said, "You're so lucky, girl, because you don't care." Yeah. And I'm lucky that my hair's natural. I go to the hairdresser, obviously, get my hair washed and that, and they always laugh and say, "Girl, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter when you get your hair cut. It's going to be okay, you know."
Yeah, you don't need to bother.
No, that's right. And some people have terrible. My sister had terrible hair, always having to do stuff. For me, I never have to do anything. So that's very, very lucky for me, you know. But I've never had, even when I was in fashion in London, I mean, I worked with people like Jean Muir. She was a very fashionable woman. I was friends with Adele Rootstein, who made the Donna Luna models, the Twiggy models, you know. I mixed with these people who are just incredible. But for me, it's never been, it doesn't interest me. You know what I mean? I like to be comfortable. I used to say to my mother, I just want to be comfortable. And I never felt comfortable. They gave me high heel shoes. And I used to say, oh, they hurt my feet. You know, they used to squash your feet in.
You're an athlete.
Yeah, and I said, I can't live like that. So for me, I'm still the same. I've got that many red shirts, and I had pink shirts originally, and they were really good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the people who make them stopped making the pink and only make the red. Or you can have blue. I don't want blue. So instead of pink, I've got red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always see you in this red
the same. I've got dozens of...
Some red shirt is like I have a little bit
Yeah,
of
that's
rips.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah, and I was just still wearing it.
Yeah, I know.
And then my neighbor said, oh, you go interview Gail. Gail is a legend woman. I said, okay. So, well, why her clothes is like associated.
Yeah, I know. So
sometimes.
usually I always, I have a physio because of my spinal injuries.
Yeah.
My physio comes and she gets my red shirts and says, Gail, I'm putting these ones to the back. Don't wear them anymore.
Yeah. So it's totally
But
different.
it's all to
like
do
that.
with simplicity. You see,
Yeah.
I watched, as I grew up, the impression on me was, for women, they kept saying, you had to be this, or you had to be like, you know, everyone had to be. I thought, I don't want to be. I want to be me. And therefore, when women were having to be doing their nails or their hair or the whatever, exactly how everyone wanted them to be, I didn't want to be that.
Like a pleasing other people.
No, I
rather
didn't
than
want to be.
yourself, right?
No, I was just happy to be myself. I wanted to be comfortable. So I always wore sand shoes, you know, and comfortable clothes, you know. And my mother used to laugh. She said to me, I always remember when I was at the Telstra Awards and my mother felt I was going to win. I didn't think I was going to win. I said, there were so many talented women there. I said, Mum, look, you know, I'm happy to be here, to be in the final, you know. And Mum said, you're going to win. I said, no, Mum. I said, just hang on, Mum. She said, put some lippy on in case you have to go up there. My mother had the lipstick. I want you to put some lippy on. My mother was lovely on lipstick. She loved wearing lipstick.
Yeah.
So she wanted me to wear lipstick. I said, Mum, do I have to wear lipstick? She said, just a little bit. And she's putting the lipstick on me. And then they put my name up. She said, there you are, you won. Now you've got the lippy on. It's so funny.
So it's like a tomboyish.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but I don't. Other people might say that, but people say tomboy. But for me, it's always been about the way I see myself, because when I was growing up, this standard that you had to have, that for women, it was terrible. Women committed suicide. You know, women's lives were ruined because they had to be looking like something. They had to be this or they had to be that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, under a lot of scrutiny.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And you know, and you had to behave in a certain way. You weren't allowed to do this. I can remember when I was a kid, women, you know, you went to school and I went to a convent and they said you've got to wear stockings and a hat and gloves and all this. And I used to think, what do I have to do that for? And I said to my mother, I don't want to do that. And I wanted to go to a school where you didn't have to do all that. And my mother kept me in from not going to those. She kept me all the time, you know. And finally, she agreed. So my mother got me into the public school at Cogra. And honestly, I still remember it. I walked into that school. There were girls fighting. There were girls with no uniforms, no hats, no gloves. There was just chaos. And I thought, I remember being so happy. I thought, oh, you're a beauty. Where's this been all my life?
I like the chaotic. I'm the problem solver.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And I did very well at that school.
Yeah, because it's like a jungle.
Yeah, that's right.
You're testing everybody's survival skill.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Exactly. And so on I went. But I went on to, my parents moved to Queensland from New South Wales. So I changed schools quite a bit. When we came up here, I went to the Kedron school, and it was really good because I was in there, the first senior class to go through the school, you know, or second class, I think. I was in amongst the first lot. And in the class were the leading students of Queensland. They were these women and boys were so intelligent and so high, way above me at maths and physics. And I did 7 subjects for a senior. Of course I wasn't, how could I manage, you know? But I tried my best, but I was with people. I remember Barbara Wynne Williamson, this girl, she was just brilliant at maths, and they were all brilliant, and they tried to help me. They were very good, because I was good at sport and none of them were good at sport. I was great at sport, they were great in this school. So they used to help me do my homework, and then I'd show them how to hit the ball, you know, and that sort of thing.
A kind of business as well.
That's right, yeah. We sort of negotiate a deal, you know. And funnily enough, after I left that school, I went to England, and I came home. I'll never forget, I walked into, I think it was Woolworths or Coles, one of those stores in Queen Street or Adelaide Street, wherever it was then, and I walked in there to buy something, and who was behind the counter but Barbara Wynne Williams? And I couldn't believe it. I said, what are you, because by then I've run a business, and I said, what are you doing here? She said she had a nervous breakdown. She had a breakdown from and she was brilliant. She was a top student in the country, you know, and she had a breakdown. I was so sad to see that. I said, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's the problem nowadays. There's so many high school or uni students, they have anxiety and depression and things like
Well, the
that.
good thing for me is, having experienced all that, I've engaged here over 100 young people, more than 100 young people of all standards, you know, and many of them, 9 of them are doctors today, 9. Some are solicitors, some are whatever, but all of them had issues. You could tell the pressure on them was enormous. So I used to work with them and say, now, you know, get them working here and getting clear in their mind of whatever they had to do in their studies, and say, you know, let's just get the job done. And I'd get them cleaning the floor or whatever we could do. And to this day, I'm still friends with so many of those young people. Every now and then I'll get a message from them. Gail, one of them was telling me, they send me messages every now and then. I get a message, Gail, this happened in such and such a place I was at, and I said to them, and they said, I did exactly what you did years ago, and I've sort of solved the problem. You know what I mean? That's sort of.
Yeah. So have you have you been to uni?
I didn't go to uni.
You didn't go to uni?
No. I've been to uni to lecture. I've been invited to Queensland University, I couldn't believe it, to give a lecture. I've done that a few times. And I've done it on, I forget the different things I've done. And Queensland University, I've been out to the other one, there's another university somewhere. I've been to a couple of them, but that's what made me laugh.
Because you're such a successful woman, but for your shop is have been here for 50 years almost. And you only own this one shop. You didn't expand your business.
No, because my brother had the shop at the Gold Coast, and when he died eventually, and then eventually that closed. I never intended to open another one.
Why is that?
Well, because, you know, in my view, I've never wanted to be the owner of lots of shops. I've never wanted. It's the same when I was in London. One place, one good, do it well. If you want to do something, if you want to, you know, I'm not a money maker. Like, if you're a money maker, you would open up lots of shops. You know, the people I know that do that, I meet them and they're people without soul, in my view.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So stern and no smiles.
Yeah, like it's like, you know, they open one shop. Oh, we'll open 10 of these, and what does it do for the customer? Nothing. You know, people come here. Honestly, I love it. You'll see people walk in here and say, "Haven't been in for 20 years, Gail." Haven't been in for 30 years. I had a man recently, haven't been in for 50 years, Gail.
Oh, wow.
I said, where the bloody hell you been?
Okay, so it's like a place for the community.
Well, of course.
Rather than
That's right. In other words, if you want to be in business for a long time, you need personally to enjoy it, and then the customers will enjoy it. And this is what I like. This is my idea. And I think it comes from my grandfather, who built a business called Hare and Forbes. That business still operates today. It's not the same as it was then. But my cousins run it, And now it's their grandsons that are running it, you know what I mean? So now it's becoming like, like other businesses. Whereas Heron Forbes, where I first was on the ground sorting out nuts and bolts, that's what I loved. I grew up in it, where somebody, when you did business with the person, and you valued what you were doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
I think you've got to, it's a funny thing I was going to show you. This is a good reason why this company in America called Vans, giant company, they're really, really a big company, and they're fantastic people. They came to Australia many years ago because of the Vans shoes, selling the Vans shoes. And I looked at them and I thought, the reason they came was because a young boy that worked with me came to me and he had his shoes on. There were no shoes, he just had the sole tied up on his foot. I said, what's that? He said, it's a Vans shoe. I said, a Vans shoe? He said, yeah. He said, they're the best in the world, Gail. I said, okay. So I sent a message to America, to the Vans company, and they were a small company then, and I invited them. I said, I'd like to sell your shoes. So they said, good. So they sent me some samples, and they came out here ultimately, and I met the Van Doren family, who were the original starters of that thing. Lovely people. I got on really well with them, and they loved me. They wanted me to have Vans. They said, Gail, open shops everywhere. I said, no. So I said, I will start selling your shoes, and I will begin the process. When you want to start selling them to lots of shops, you get somebody else to deal with it. And it was funny. Along comes this fellow one day, and he said, Gail, Vans tell me that you want somebody to do the distribution. I said, I don't want to do that. I just want to sell them here. And he was shocked. He said, Gail, you know how much money you could make? I said, I'm not here to make money. I'm here to do business. And that's what I do. And so this fellow took over the Vans shoes and distributed them everywhere. And you know what happened to him eventually? He had a nervous breakdown.
He became a billionaire?
Yeah, that's right. He didn't become a billionaire. He became rich. He did become rich, but he came one day and he said, Gail, you were right.
So it's not a good trade-off, hey?
No, I don't think so. So I think that's the answer. The answer is that. I think Vans is a good one because, people said to me, you've got an opportunity of a lifetime to be the Vans distributor in Southeast Asia. And they had they printed a book, not this one, but another one, where my name was in there as the Southeast Asian. They made me do it. I didn't want to do it, but they put my name there. Until I said, when you find somebody, you point them. Because it's not me. I don't want to do that. And for a while there, I used to sell them to the BMX shops and things like that. I did whatever they wanted, but I said, you must find someone else.
Yeah, we call this kind of business like a small and beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's what I am doing now. So
Yeah.
we try to keep our business small but beautiful.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because in life, there are some people meant for that, giant stores everywhere, and I think to myself, shop 6, how are you doing today? Shop 7, how are you doing today? And all it is figures, Whereas for me, in fact, quite often I've had plenty of people look after my books, my accountants and that, and my accountants have always said, I always stick to the same people all the time. And they used to say to me, Gail, do you realise that what you could do much better? You realise you work, you don't have to, you could do. I said, I'm happy.
Yeah, still you're not retired.
No, I'm happy.
You're not retired, you're happy to still come.
That's right, exactly.
All the time.
Yeah, and so therefore, g'day mate.
How you going?
I'm going all right. What are you doing?
All right.
You're all right.
Don't need anything too crazy, unfortunately, today.
That's all right.
I just need a leash string if you've got one.
Oh, yeah, I've got one. Yeah, right behind me. Can you believe? Oh, I turned around without falling over and breaking my neck.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. Where are they? They're all hanging here somewhere here.
Not on the camera?
No, that's fine.
She's interviewing me for
Sure.
something for China.
Yeah, for the Chinese international students. Teach them how to surf safe. So do you have any suggestions for the international student who first came to Australia seeking for education or lifestyle or anything? Yeah, you think?
Well, to me, I think you need to work for me, if you're coming from another country, the best thing, because I've worked, as I say, with Chinese people here. I've had so many people from all over the world work with me. And, that's what they need to do. They need to work in a business where they're going to meet people, where they get it. To me, that was the best way to get to know what the culture is.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Yeah,
talk to people.
That's right. And if you're in a shop, whatever shop it is, doesn't matter where it is, whether it's in the city or a small shop or whatever, it's better to be in a busy shop than you're meeting all different people all the time. And I think that's really the best way, because you learn the language, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the important things is for all young people, and even the Chinese kids coming here, no matter what you do in life, things are going to get difficult. It's never going to be an easy road, no matter whether it's your health or whether it's, what you do or whatever. Sometimes it's not even your fault. Things go bad, So you have to I think all young people should be taught to be resilient. In other words, life shouldn't be laid out for them to say, well, you can do this, that, and automatically you can go to somewhere else. I think they have to be given more difficult tasks. I think when you go to the country, young people out there learn about really tough things. They deal with animals, and for instance, you'll have an animal and something will happen, the animal will die. Or you have to save an animal or whatever. So working with animals can be very helpful. But I think for a lot of people, life's too cool, too easy. My life has been good because it hasn't been easy, it's been tough. You know what I mean? And I've had to learn to climb over the mountain. You know what I mean?
You learn the most in the difficulty time.
Yeah. You have to learn, you just have to learn how to deal with difficulties. That's the thing. Not to learn how to get everything right, how to learn when things are wrong, And that's more, in my view, more important than anything.